Well, hello, my darlings. I'm Faith from Faith and Grits, and I'm back to share something very exciting with you. My friend Jez from over at Now Jez Create has made a Monet-inspired digital kit, and oh my god, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'll come back to this in a second. That's today's video. I'm not showing you all the pages. These are just some, but the color palette in these is just sublime. The collage pages as well. If you look like the bridge scene up against that, it's stunning. It's full of tags, pockets, envelopes. The envelope patterns are gorgeous. There's some like French documentation in there. There's another 2 envelopes and loads of tags. So that's only a sample there of the kit. Please go and see Jez's video to see the whole thing. I will put the links for everything down in the description box below. There's 40 pages in the kit. It is absolutely stunning. And some of the pages include, I don't know what I've done with them. You've got these extra collage pages, larger tags, another beautiful collage page, and then images, and then she's got some where she's washed them out to be backgrounds. I'll show you those now. So really, really, really gorgeous color palette in this. So I'm quite excited. So in today's video, I've had a lot of talk with some friends locally, and it's about how do you teach someone for the first time how to make a 3-signature journal. So that's what I've done in this video, is try to do it as simple as possible and walk you through how you can take something as simple as a cracker box or a cereal box, a bit of a wallpaper sample, and create your own junk journal. And it's really, really easy to do. It looks intimidating, but it's not, I promise. So today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to make a very simple 3-signature journal that just becomes your open playground to go and play. So again, I've put Jez's papers in here. I've got some book page from a Monet book that I had. I don't have any of my gel prints in this one, but there'll be more to follow on that. But stick around to the end of the video, because I will tell you what I'm going to be up to alongside this one. So that is your simple, very simple, but look how gorgeous it looks with these digital papers. It is absolutely stunning, and it's just crying out for more play. So that's that. So keep watching, my darlings, and for you, I'll be back in just a tick. Right, my darlings, how to start a very simple junk journal, as simple as you can make it. So first, you need to make signatures. And if you look at any given book, where they're bound into the book there, this book has 3 signatures. So it's that simple. So it's a cluster of pages folded in half. And the beauty of junk journaling is there are no rules. Absolutely no rules on what you can do. I'm going to do 3 signatures, and I've put 9 pieces of paper in each one. So I'll walk you through that now. So you've got all your random papers. I've got some paper out of a Monet book that I freed by doing the piece of music paper. And my rule is it's got to fit. It can't be bigger than an A5. And I'm not sure what an A5 is in America, but it's half of an A4. So this is a standard UK or European A4 piece of paper. Folded in half is an A5 size. And I don't want any of my pieces here to be bigger than that. But it doesn't matter if they're smaller. So I've got all my pages here. You spread them out, and then you put them in any sort of interesting order that you like, really, and nestle them together. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've got 9 pieces. So I'm going to tuck something in there. Doesn't matter what. And don't think about it. Don't try to be overly sort of, you can be fussy about it if you want to. But the best way, I think, is just to go with your gut and trust your sort of eye, if that makes sense. Trust that sort of creative eye that you've got. So there are my 3 signatures ready to go. So that will actually take you the longest, is sourcing all your bits of different paper and just going with it. You could do this with junk mail, you can do it with magazine pages, book pages, music paper, tea-dyed paper, copy paper, children's scrapbook paper. Any paper is fair game. And often the different textures of the paper and the different weights of the paper actually make the book more textural. But I'm just sticking to the basics now. So just basic paper you can get hold of. And of course these have come from Jez's kit. So once these are done, 9 pages, I've got 3 of them in there, and pop those out of the way. Don't worry about them for the moment. And I've tested them all. I know that none of them are bigger that way or that way than an A5 folded in half. So pop these out of the way a minute, and your cover. So I don't have any cereal boxes at the moment. I'm out of cereal boxes. But I've got one of my very coveted vanilla wafer boxes, because you cannot get these in Britain. Not reasonably anyway. So these come back from America with me, because you can't make banana pudding without them. So any cereal box or packaging box, of course, don't use something that's messy. You know, cereal boxes are good because the cereal has never come in contact with the box. It's been in a bag. So you want a nice clean box. Now, whatever the width of this is, will be the width of the spine of your book. So if you have the big mega-size family cornflake box that's like this thick, well, the spine of your book is going to be that thick. So look for something reasonable. I think that's, what, about 2 inches? About 2¼ inches, that is. Some cereal boxes are even like 2 inches. You can have ones that are smaller. You'll just have less paper to go into it. So for the sake of, we're going to do 3 signatures in this one. So if you look inside your box, you're going to see that corner is whole, that corner's whole, that corner's whole, and that corner, the box has been made by gluing a flap down. So you want to try to get that flap off, without making too much of a dog's body of it, really. File, a metal ruler, you know, anything in there, just be careful. Go slow. Some boxes you'll find come away cleaner than others. So that's come away quite clean. So you open it up, and there's your box. This is your spine. So that all these flappies have got to go. So you just trim those off. I like using a steel ruler, and I use a cut-in wheel, only because it's what I'm used to using. But there is nothing wrong with sitting here with a pair of scissors and chopping it off with scissors. It doesn't need to be precise. And that is sort of the beauty of, don't overthink it. If you're making a junk journal, don't overthink it. Go for it. Just do it. So I'm so excited for this Monet kit. And I might show you a teaser at the end now, because there is something else I've got in mind. So let's get these bits chopped off. I use a cutting wheel because it's what I'm used to. And I'm a little bit quicker with it, if that makes sense, because I've been using it for so long. So all those bits are off. Now, if your box comes unglued, tidy, those go in the recycling. If your box comes unglued in a tiny manner and you're able to save that piece, save it, because that now If you can't, it doesn't matter, because you can just make one out of a piece of card, because that could be used as your binding template in the middle afterwards. So for our cover, so I'm not going to mark top yet, but I've searched my fabrics. I've got no fabrics that suit the Monet kit or the Monet color palette at all. None that sort of gel with me. But what I do have is that sort of sample piece of a bluey copper marble effect. And if you look at this up against, oh, come on, where's it gone? It is here. If you look at that up against the kit pages, where's the bridge? Yeah. If you look at that up against those pages, I think it works. Because I can always go back and put something on the faceplate of the journal. I think that works lovely. So I'm going to stick with that. So that's going on the inside of my cover, but I want to do my outside first. So flip my wallpaper over, sorry for the focusing, and I want to take my box and glue stick it down, just anywhere, because we're going to trim all that off, yeah? So the first thing you need to do is glue stick your cardboard down. Doesn't have to be super precise. I try to get to the corners, spine. You do want a good covering. You can use just normal PVA school glue. You can use all sorts, any sort of glue to do this, but it just, of course, it's, you know, PVA, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for it to dry before you can work with it. So I'm going to stick that down. There. Am I in camera? I will have it on camera now. I'll cut this excess wallpaper off and give it a little bit of a smooth with my bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, the best thing to use is the side of your scissors, or even just your hands. No, that's the one I meant. If you got a pair of standard scissors like that, that flat bit on the bigger side can be used as a bone folder. So, pop that out of the way. Scissors, cap on the ooh-hoo. This off. And I'm not stingy with the wallpaper. I've got so much that I find in the charity shops and stuff. I don't worry about, because I can't treasure hunt for more lovely things and I use what I've got, isn't it? So there's two ways to do this. Use a ruler and just put a ruler on the end here and draw a line around, all the way around. But I also have this little dandy doobie. It's like a bookbinder tool. They're not expensive. I had this one on Amazon. I don't use all the functions of it, but I do find it's quick to do, is that outside corner. So I'm going to put it on there and there. So any right angle will do it, but this is the sort of thickness that you want to attach your cover. And this will make sense in a minute. But you can use a ruler to do this. It doesn't really matter. So, and again, using just scissors as well. So I'm going to straighten that line up a little bit, if I can't see that from this angle, without putting my head under the camera. So once you've got that sort of gap going all the way around, just trim off the excess wallpaper then. So again, you can use scissors for this, or you can use a cutting wheel. You can use whatever. Some people like working with craft knives. It's whatever cutting tool you're the most confident working with. And trim it down. Now this will be hidden. Oh, that went way off. There we go. Once we put the inside cover on. So you don't have to be super fussy. And one more. There we go. And the reason why I'm using this little bookbinder tool is to highlight what the function is of this. So you want to cut your corners now. So I'll give this a little bit of a fold. That ooh-hoo sticks pretty quick. Yeah, so that is your book, essentially. So, but on the corners, you want to trim off that bit of excess. But you want to leave a tiny bit there, if that makes sense. Draw this corner again. You want to cut that angle off on all four corners. So I'm going to do that now with this. And this will allow you to make your, almost like hospital corners. Making a bed, I suppose. I think that's the term for it, hospital corners. So I'm going to get those bits cut off. I'm going right up to the edge of my cover. And then trim it off. So those will go in the bin. Not the bin, the recycling. And now you're just going to go through and fold all of those in, ready for glue in. Yep. I'll give them a nice crease by folding it on the tabletop up against the cardboard. And if you can cover the outside of your book with fabric, and at this stage, you can then take it and run that through your sewing machine. I don't find my sewing machine's got no problem going through fabric in a cereal box at all. I often glue stick mine first, let the glue stick dry, then put it through the sewing machine, but entirely up to you on how scrappy your journal is going to be. So I'm going to glue this down with art, Wake Up Art, and I'll speed this up a bit. So, here we go. Right, darling, sorry, I got so excited, I didn't trim the box down, did I? Honestly, before you put your outside covering on, check that your size is okay for your signatures. And I think I can wing that, no problem. Because I can shuffle these about a little bit before I bind. So I'll come back to that. Phew. So no, you don't want that enormous cereal box. You cut it down to the size that you want. So something like a cracker box is oftentimes will be that sort of A5 size. Cracker boxes, cake mix boxes, they all tend to be more or less that size. And that sort of width spine. So I've cut some of Jazz's beautiful collage pieces. So that's one piece of collage. that I've just chopped in half. And then I've skimmed that one off of another collage sheet. And I'm going to glue that one down there. Now, when you're gluing your inside papers on, you want your edges to be glued really, really well. So, where's my glue book gone? I have no idea. Right, sorry about that. I have no idea where the other one went. So get another one out. And these are just magazines that I use as sacrificial places to glue. So I'm going to get this one on to the center. You don't have to add inside papers if you don't want to. You can go in and paint the cardboard if you want to. Or collage it, or again, if you're doing it with fabric, just incorporate fabric into it before you sew it on. But for the basics, let's stick with just paper. So I want that more or less centered. And you really need to give this a good burnish make. That's why the having something sacrificial to glue on helps, because you know you got that glue stick all the way over the edges. So I'm not going to fold, I'm not going to bend this in until I know this glue stick is dry, because you don't want any air bubbles in there to creep up. Give it a really good burnish down. But again, it's not the end of the world if you don't. So glue that piece and then that piece over there. So I'm going to go off, glue these pieces on, and give this a tick to dry, and I'll be back. Right, my darlings, let's see if that Ooh-Hoo has done its job now. Go in where that fold is and give it a little bit of a mash down. Because of course, not all glues are created equally, and all glues cure at different rates. So you just got to experiment until you find the glue that you're happy with, really. I use art glitter. Some people swear by Fabri-Tac. Fabri-Tac and Beacon, Fabri-Tac, Beacon 3-in-1 are difficult or expensive to get in the UK, because they're American glues. Some people like the Barely Art, which ships year round. I haven't tried it yet. I use art glitter, and I love the Ooh-Hoo. This is like the German engineering in a glue stick. It is really, really good glue sticks. So there's your cover. Happy days. So I know which way is the top, because this is directional. If you didn't know which way was the top, if your pattern wasn't directional, like that marble isn't really directional, I would take a pencil and very lightly write a T for top on there. So you know which way is up. And we're going to do the same thing on our template. So your next step, your signatures are ready to go. Your next step is to make a binding template. And this needs to be the same size. I've just cut a piece of white paper to be the same size as the spine. Yes? Not exact, doesn't have to be precise at all. So you need to find the center of that. So I'm just going to fold mine in half. Let's do it towards me so I can see what I'm doing, because I tend to lean over what I'm working on. In half. Again, you don't have to be super precise, because it's a junk journal. There are no rules. It doesn't matter if they're wonky. If they're wonky, it's going to add to the character of the book. So, and I take a pencil and sort of lightly mark. So you want that center line. Can you see that? You want a center line vertically, and then you want a center line horizontally. Yep. And give that. So you got a center So that's the center of your middle signature. So you need to work out how far from the top and how far from the bottom that you want your next folds to be. And then for these two, you can either fold into the center that way. This is the easiest way, especially if you don't own a scoreboard. Now, if you own a scoreboard, this is a little bit easier to do because you just pop your paper on the scoreboard and work it out from there. So you want that line. So there's your first and second signature. Can you see that? Yeah. And then the same on the other side. So you've got a sort of equidistance between the three signatures that you're going to sew in. There we go. And I'm going to rub it with a sharp pencil so I can see the fold. You with me so far? And then from the bottom, I'm going to do it on my scoreboard actually. Let's say I'm going to go 1.25 inches. Yeah, 1.25 inches on that side. About 1.25 inches on that side. Just eyeball it. And that can be the bottom. And again, go in, mark it with my pencil. And the top. Now, the next stage, you need something sacrificial that you can stab into. And you're going to need some sort of clips. Now, I prefer using sewing clips and the giant paper clips, but you can use clothes pegs, you can use binder clips, any paper clips will work. The more you do it, the more intuitive it becomes, if that makes sense. So on there, I now have 9 points, 9 intersections, 3 at the top, 3 in the middle, and 3 at the bottom. And that is how we're going to bind our signatures into our book. So you need something sacrificial. So I find an old paperback from a charity shop is quite suffice to stab into. And of course I've lost my, oh no, I don't, put them in there, didn't I? Yeah, they're in there. And the darning needle's in there as well. So you want to stab a little hole in each one of those 9 points, at least to start out on your template. And the very next thing you do not skip this step, whatever you do, take a pencil and write T for top and an arrow pointed up. So at any point in the next stage when you're binding, you know which way is up. And until you actually do it, it seems nonsensical. But trust me, it's saved me more than a few times. So the next part, I've got to get those holes now transferred to my cover. So I'm going to get that template in there and line it up, center it the best I can, and clip it into place. Again, you can use alligator clips, binder clips, paper clips, whatever works for you. So bind that into place. And when you're first starting out, use as many clips as makes you feel comfortable. Because the more you do it, the easier it gets. Then you want to go back onto your sacrificial surface and go through the cereal box and those 9 holes again. And when we go to sew, you're going to need to give the middle ones a little bit of a wiggle, and that will make sense now. Hold on. So take that template off because we're going to need that in a minute. We know which way's up. So I've got my holes now popped through my plate. Give them an extra pop through on the top and the bottom, which you don't really have to do. And then the middle ones, I give a little bit of a wiggle. I don't want the hole to be bigger. I just want a little bit of wiggle room in that center hole. Give it a little wiggle. There, ready to go. And my wallpaper sort of popped out a bit on the back, but you can always go back through on the other side and flatten it back down. And what I have done in the past is I go back over with a Sharpie on those holes as well, and that works. Right, next step. You need your sacrificial book out with the stabbing tool. So, because I didn't trim this, I've given those pages a little bit of a wiggle. So I've got some that are sitting a little bit higher, some are sitting a little bit lower. So go into the center, keeping that sort of V shape of the pages. And now you want to paper clip those together. So I've seen people do journals without clipping, and I'm like, I cannot freehand that. There's no way. So clip them together. Again, using anything that works for you. And on your, this is going to be my first signature. So you want that nice and tight in that V shape. So on your template, that first line, I know my top is top, and I'm the right way up. So that first one, that's your first signature, that's your second, and that's your third. So fold that first one in, like so. So I know that's first, second, and third. Fold that first one in, and I'm going to hold it to the center of that V. Yes? And again, if you're first starting out, clip this in place so that it doesn't move. The more you do it, the easier you'll find it to hold it with just your thumbs. So take your stabbing surface and go through those 3 holes all the way through the paper to the other side. Yes? Through that hole and go all the way through. Now I'm using a quilling tool. This is a quilling tool. And you can also get sort of pokey tools in your craft stores and stuff now as well that'll do this. An awl will work as well, but a standard awl from your like toolbox is a bit fatter than these. And I find these work better because you're not making the holes too big. So your template can come off, and now you're going to sew this onto the cover. And to do that, get my needle out here. It's throwing things around here. You can use any standard, like big chunky sewing needle, but a tip I learned from, oh God, who was it? Denise, over at Denise's Junk Journals, is to use darning needles. Because darning needles are duller on the point, and it's less likely to split the thread. But any sewing needle will work. So I'm going to go 1, 2, I do 2.5. If you're starting out, do 3. 3 lengths of thread. And onto the needle. And you're going to start in the center, and you're going to make a bit of a figure 8. So you're going to go in the middle, out that side, back through the top, skip in the middle, through the bottom, and back through the center. It sounds complicated. It's really not. Think of the way that a figure 8 is formed. It's almost like what you're making, but your knot is going to be on the inside of the middle of that 8. So let's go in the middle, go through that side. This is the part that always flummoxed me in the beginning because it's really difficult to film. So I'm going to go through the bottom here. Come on. There we go. Through the bottom hole of my signature, making sure now that that thread hasn't gotten lost. Come through the bottom, skip the middle, go in the top, through the top hole there, and pull it through. Come on. And then here's the trickiest bit. You've got to go through the middle now, again, from the other direction, and don't go through the thread. So this, you can use wax thread, you can use embroidery floss, you can use rope, you can use twine, you can use anything you want, but you've got to make sure when you re-enter that hole for the second time that you haven't gone through your thread. And the easiest way of checking that is to pull it. Give it a wiggle, give it a pull, give it a play. And if you don't hit any resistance, you're fine. If you hit resistance, it means you've gone through the thread, and just pull everything out and do it again. So don't unclip anything too early. So once you get to that point, give it a nice taut pull, and before you knot it, flip it over and make sure you've got some tension on the string on that side, and you're not caught on anything. So I give it 3 knots. 1, 2, and 3. And at that stage, you can leave these dangle, you can chop them off, or you can tie them in a bow. Because there are things you can do to sort of add dangles and charms to your book using those after. As long as you've got that solid knot underneath that bow, you know it's there. So I don't fully unclip everything, but I do take these off, and then I pop one right up the top to keep them out of my way. Yes? So the very, very last thing you do is take your clips off. So I'm going to do the exact same process with the next 2 signatures, and perhaps I'll speed it up a little bit. Yes? So again, to show you the sewing direction again, I'm on the second signature now, so I folded that one in half to my number 2 line. I'm going to go in the center, through the center, over here, pull it through, make sure I've got that excess there I'm not going to lose, through the bottom, and skip the middle, go through the top, and then back through the middle. And I gotta say, since using the darning needles, I've had far less instances of splitting the thread, for sure. So give that one a little wiggle, make sure I'm okay. Yeah. And pull those taut. Make sure they're taut on the back, not caught on anything. And give it 3 knots. 1, 2, 3. And tie it off. And again with that one, I'm going to clip them together to keep them out of my way to get the third one in. Now if you notice there, one point I had the book upside down. And this is why it's really important that you've marked somewhere and can tell from your papers which way is up. So the last one then, I'm going to go to that third fold and do the exact same thing with that one. So once I get that done, I'll pop back on. Right, my darlings, all in. The 3 signatures are in. I haven't taken the clips off. I'll explain why now. This now template, you can either put it in the recycling, or I sometimes will write the date on here and sort of save this to hide in the book somewhere. So it's entirely up to you. It's like a little Easter egg, isn't it? So first thing you do is you check that you're in the right direction. So all your signatures are facing the right way up, and you haven't accidentally stitched any of them in upside down, because it's far easier to reclip it, cut the thread, and put it back than it is to do it once you've freed the pages, if that makes sense. So always check that you're the right way up to your cover on all 3. And then as you take your clips off, you can give all your pages, though they're going to want to stand up because they've only just recently been folded. So you want to go in either with something like a bone folder or just your fingers, give them a little smooth. They'll soon learn their place and flatten out. Trust me, it just takes a while because the paper hasn't really learned its shape yet. So do that to your signatures and you are ready to go. You're ready to play. And this is just a big blank canvas to play and to do whatever you want to it. And the color palette in this kit, Jazz, is to die for. It's absolutely lovely. And like even some of my grungy papers now, with that antique-y buff color in the background. And it works with Monet's paintings. You've got the splashes of those different colors in there. Lots of blues and greens and pinks, and I've got all sorts of Monet pages behind me, which will bring me on to my next bit now. So, Jazz, I'm loving it, and I think you're going to love my little surprise now at the end. So, I will have some play in this book, and add pockets and things like that, pockets and tucks and journaling cards and things like that. I'll probably add a pocket to the back and a pocket to the front, and some sort of closure. But as you can see, that's 9 pages per signature. So I think that works out, yeah. So there's 9 letter-sized pieces in each of the 3 signatures, which makes a book of 108 pages. So this book has 108 pages, and it's got lots of room to grow. Look how skinny it is. But the more you play and embellish and add to each side of these pages, the book will fill up. And there's no rules. So you do what you want. You can write, you can draw, you can glue, you can collage, you can make hiding spaces, you can do whatever you want. If you were to make a junk journal that you only wanted to write and draw into, of course you would add far more pages or more signatures to bulk that up. But because we want to fill it with yumminess and extraness, we need that room to grow. So that's what that is. That is room to grow. So no, chuffed with that. So I will be back to play in this a little bit more. I just wanted to show the simplest way of binding a 3 signature book from a box, really. So, Jazz, this kit is to die for. So, alongside working on that simple one, I'm also going to have a little go, thank you, Jazz, of my second ever altered book. So I've made a start. So this giant collection of Monet's works, I've already made a little sneaky start of turning it into an altered book. So watch this space, because one reason why I decided to do the bigger one like that as well is I've been playing a lot with my gel plate, printing inspired pieces. And I wanted to have something to sort of try to incorporate those in that's mine. So I've got the little one here now, the little simple one to play in. And I've got this one that's in progress. And I've got the 40 odd pages of Jazz's kit to play with. And I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited. I love the way you've brought in those extra pops of color and the tile and things like that. Those colors alongside Monet's inspired print. So yes, loving it, loving it, loving it. So watch this space, Orleans, and hope to be back with you again soon. So bye for now.